Hey, everybody. Welcome to Self Care. And this is Reverend Jodi Susan Calhoun. And we've got the Rockstar Coach, Michelle Froge. And today we're going to talk about how to stay high vibe in 2025. Um, and here's the thing, I decided to wear my high vibe energy outfit. And, you know, Michelle and I were just talking about how this does not necessarily make you high vibe, but it's fun for me. So I'm wearing it today for you, so that if you need permission to wear your sparkle and shine your light, I'm saying go for it. Yeah.
Yes, definitely.
So, Michelle, so looks like okay. So I'm also going to manage this on LinkedIn because we have several attendees on LinkedIn. Let's see if we got this going. I gotta make sure.
Happy New Year, by the way. Happy New Year, everyone.
Yeah, Happy New Year, right? Because this is okay. Here we go. All right, so I'm gonna. So it looks like okay. So I'm also gonna manage this. Okay, now we don't have to hear me in echo. I don't hear you at all, though.
I didn't say anything.
That's why. Okay.
That's why. I moved my head, but my mouth wasn't open.
Well, that is hilarious.
You couldn't hear things rattling in my head?
Well, usually I can, but I don't like to admit it because, I'm just saying. So, anyway, today we're going to talk about how to stay high vibe, what things interfere with us staying in high vibe, what are some easy solutions that don't cost money. We're going to talk about some solutions that do cost money. We're going to talk about all the different things that you want to know. Now, what I'm also going to ask you to do, and I'll remind you throughout the show, is if you have questions about staying high vibe or you want to make a contribution, we're going to ask you to do that as well. Sound good, Michelle?
Absolutely.
All right. Why don't you take it away? All right. And share with people what you think the problem is about staying high vibe.
Mm. Well, I think probably the number one thing that I think is kind of misunderstood
Yeah.
is that high vibe is not always staying positive. There's this buzz phrase right now going around called toxic positivity,
Mm-hmm.
and there is definitely toxicity that can come along with too much positivity, and the way that can happen is, if someone has just lost someone important in their life, a being, an animal, a person, whatever, a job, right? Something important in their lives. If they have just lost that, I promise you, they don't want to hear, oh, well, there's always a silver lining and just look for the good in it right after it's
They
happened.
really don't.
They don't want to hear that.
No, they want to feel their feelings, and we want to encourage them to feel their feelings.
Yeah,
Right. And
absolutely.
because I know that actually that hat's getting hot. Um,
That's what hats do. They keep your head warm and they keep your body warm too. That's a
yeah,
good thing
yeah.
about hats.
Well, on a cold day like today, I'm just gonna
Hmm.
say.
Hmm.
Um, so I remember when my mom died, and I'm at the funeral, and people came up to me and told me, "Oh, she's in a better place." I
Yeah.
really wanted to flip the bird.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's not what you want to hear in those times.
No, that's toxic positivity. Would you
Yeah,
agree?
absolutely. Yeah, I
That's
do. There's a
called
lot of different ways that can be played out, but that's definitely one of them. You
right.
know.
And when we do that,
So
we're
I think
costing
that
people,
that's
right?
kind of a misnomer of staying high vibe, that we always have to be positive. So like if you've lost someone or lost something precious to you, or if you're, struggling with something, we don't always have to, well, actually, I don't believe, just as Jody said, I don't believe we should shut down our feeling about it and jump immediately to, oh, well, everything's going to be fine. Everything's fine. Everything's fine. It's like I have a pen. I think it's in my purse actually, and it says something. Oh, no, no, I know where it is. Anyway, I have a pen that says, I'm fine. Everything's fine. It's a joke, right? Because it's like, no, everything isn't fine all the time. And so that's a misnomer about staying high vibe. Do we want to do our best to, I don't know if that was my internet or yours or both of ours. We both
I
spun
think
for
we've
a
done
minute.
yours. So go ahead. We want to do our best to go
Okay.
ahead.
We want to do our best um, to get through those things as quickly as is good for us, I'll say. And there's a lot of different variables, so I'm not even going to get into that. But every situation is going to be a little bit different. We don't want to stay stuck, right? We don't want to allow our emotions to keep us stuck somewhere. And yet we do want to honor them, because if there's a lesson there, we need to learn the lesson, etc., right? I mean, there's all sorts of things. But on the other side of that is, okay, I've kind of lived in my misery for a moment, so to speak, and now I'm ready to move through it. So this is where high vibe comes in. We start looking at the big picture. Okay, what lesson or lessons are there to be learned here?
Mm-hmm.
What's in it for me? Because there's always something in it for us, whether we perceive it to be good, bad, or otherwise. And how can I use this experience to help others? Um, and so, you know, for me as a coach, I always, and we've discussed this before, Jody, I always know when I go through something, whether it's something spectacular, something very sad, something disappointing, something challenging, whatever that something is, I know that I'm about to receive a client that is going through or will go through that very same thing while they're working with me, because I know, and it's part of my intention as well. I intend that everything that I go through, all of my experiences, I can turn into helping someone else. And so that is part of staying high vibe. If you see a challenge coming, yet you know, because of your past experience and hopefully your intention too, that you're going to turn that into something positive, not necessarily immediately, but you know it will be turned into something positive eventually. You do have a raised vibration, even if it's like back here, it is raised. And so that is part of staying high vibe. But I think that that's the biggest misunderstanding, is that you always have to be, smiling and happy and positive all the time. That's not what we're talking about.
No, and we're not talking about that. And I really want to, you know, reiterate some of the things that you said, which is that as I am confronted with challenges, I always see those challenges as an opportunity for growth. What can I look at myself differently? Where do I need to make changes so I don't bring it into my field again? I know that for me, I'm constantly learning and a student, and I don't expect things to, like, I don't expect whatever I shifted to just stay in place, because everything's shifting all the time. And so I may get that lesson again, right? Especially if the universe feels like I need a do over, right? Hey, Jody, you got part of the lesson, but you didn't get the entire lesson. And
Exactly.
I've had that recently as it relates to parasites, fungus, and unfriendly bacteria and how it impacts our emotional health. I had a do over, right? Because I really needed to learn more about not only what it did to me emotionally, but what it does to our white blood cells. And then from a nutritional aspect, how I wasn't absorbing nutrition because they were eating it. Okay. And then, they were taking my nutrition. You're a host and you don't know it. You're throwing this party, right? And right, here's the party hat, throwing a party, and
Yeah, and those guests weren't invited. You had some
right,
uninvited guests.
uninvited guests, and it negatively impacts your emotions, and you're having a struggle staying high vibe, right? And so, everyone's always talking about the gut brain connection, right? And how that impairs your mental emotional well being. And that is very, very true. However, I want to just like go in and say it's the mouth gut brain connection, right? So, what you start with in your mouth makes a big difference. So, I just brought this because this has made a huge difference. This is my fresh mouth toothpaste, which is made with silver nanoparticles. And we're not allowed to talk about the benefits of that because YouTube will take it down. But if you really want to know, give me a call, because if YouTube doesn't want it, you want to know all about it. But, anyways, so what you start with in your mouth makes a huge difference. Now, I also want to talk to you about um, what else you put into your mouth, right? Like, I found myself having a shift in my world. And as a result, I got off of my pattern, a healthy pattern. And that healthy pattern was having at least one banana a day, whether it's just eating the banana or putting it into a smoothie. Okay. And the other one was having kombucha, which is filled with probiotics. Now, I always have my prebiotics in my coffee because I don't actually really drink coffee. I drink Ticino, which is made with chicory root and has prebiotics. So my gut was like prebiotic happy, but it wasn't probiotic happy, and it didn't have enough magnesium. Or potassium. So now I am not sleeping and I'm jittery, and my friend Rajai, who says, "Hey, Jode, well, maybe you need some electrolytes." Well, did you know that your bananas have all that? The magnesium, the potassium, great source of electrolytes. So yesterday, every 2 hours, I had a shot of kombucha and 2 ounces. And then I had my smoothie with the bananas in it. And because I love banana bread, I made that too. You know, got to have some joy in there.
Yum.
So I slept like a baby last night for the first time in weeks. Now, I'm not a gal who's ever had a problem sleeping. So if you want to stay high vibe, look at your diet. What are you
Yeah,
putting
because I mean, how many of us, hello, get cranky when we don't get enough sleep, right? You either get cranky or you are short, you lose focus. I mean, all sorts of things go on in our body and including our brain if we don't get enough sleep. So that's hugely important. And discovering why you don't get enough sleep or why you're not getting enough sleep, that's wonderful that you figured it out and were able to take care of that quickly.
Well, right. And, we want to look at our patterns, right? The good and the bad. Which ones are serving us? Which ones aren't serving us? What are some patterns that you think contribute to being low vibe, perhaps? You want to talk about that?
Yeah. Like I talked about toxic positivity, always looking at the negative, always finding the negative in a situation or in a person, right?
Mm. Yeah.
Judgment, being
Yeah.
judgmental um, toward yourself or others.
Well, hold on.
Watching. Okay.
May I? May I?
Mm-hmm.
So I want to just say this. If you are judging yourself, you're always judging others because you start with judging yourself first. And that's where you learn it from, like, well, you learn it from a parent. It's a model belief system, right? That we're not good enough.
I think it's the other way around. If you're judging others, you're judging yourself. Because you can judge yourself and think that you're the most horrible person in the world, but everybody else is great and I'm just terrible. If you're judging other people, then you're judging yourself too. Because that's where that comes from. That's what I think. No,
So
you don't
yeah,
think the same?
okay. So you're saying, so I think we're saying the same thing. What I'm saying is and maybe I'm wrong. And I'm trying to sort that out.
Just a different way to look at it, I'm sure.
There's so how I view this is that like maybe as a child you get judged, right? And so then you have this self-judgment because you take it as real, which it's
Yeah.
not necessarily real.
Right.
And then you look at that and you do it to others. So for instance, and I love my mom, everyone knows how much I love my mom, but she had a lot of self-judgment about what the body is supposed to look like. And quite frankly, I don't know, and you guys can just hang me by my toenails for this, but I judge every single solitary person about their body. And I try not to. It's so hardwired. And who am I judging first? I'm judging myself. Um, and it's something I work on like daily. And I've cleared it from my field and it still comes out. And it's because it was so hardwired and I know what happened to my mom. The stories are relevant. But it came from her. It's ancestral, right? As far as I'm concerned. And so, yet, if I use just my brain on this, it's not possible for people to look like what they say we're supposed to look like in a magazine. The exception to that is probably you.
No, it's good makeup.
You look like the magazine covers that I've seen. I'm just going to say.
Really good makeup and lighting in here.
Got six-pack abs. So, but the point is that I was looking at all these women on Facebook the other day, loving their bodies, and they weren't perfect. And I thought, why can't I do that? But we're all work in progress, are we not?
We are.
We have some notes. Chris says, agree, judging others is because you're judging yourself. Yeah, and we learn that as kids from our parents, from being judged, or our siblings. Would you agree with that too, Chris and Michelle?
Yes. I, however, don't 100% agree that if you judge yourself, you automatically judge other people. Because I've seen, and I'm not going to say in myself, but I've seen, I've worked with clients who they think the best in everyone else. Like they give everyone else the benefit of the doubt. Like these are people pleasers. A lot of times these are people that allow others to walk on all over them, et cetera, et cetera. They don't judge others. They really give everyone else the benefit of the doubt. And yet when they look inward, all they see is ugly in all sorts of ways.
Thing. I don't see ugly when I look at myself. But it's interesting. Oh, this might be a self-help session for Jodi. Okay, so
I'm sorry. I am cutting in and out. I'm gonna switch to another internet
yes, great.
Wi-Fi and hope that that's gonna work. So continue on. I'll be back momentarily.
Sure. And Leslie Harris says, I find that much kinder. You're much kinder to others than you are to myself. Yeah. So I'm much kinder to others than I am to myself as well, Leslie. the the thing that I notice is that in person, I don't have judgment on people. I think they are beautiful in person. It's when you take the photo and it's there forever. I
Mm,
just got that, right?
mm,
Like, and then I thought that when I was obese, like I was
mm.
235 pounds, I actually loved myself exactly with all my flaws and my fat. And I didn't have judgment. It was only when I became thinner that I became judgmental. Now I'm not thin enough. And so it's just interesting how we're wired. And, but you want to look at that relative to how it stops you from high vibing, right?
Yeah.
This negative self talk.
Mhm.
And where else might you have negative self talk? You know, thoughts from Bueller.
Yeah, I mean, well, there's all sorts of places that we can put ourselves down, right? We're not successful enough. We don't have um enough money. We don't have the right relationship. We don't um our children are not living up to the expectations that um they should, right?
Mhm. Yeah, exactly.
Um, I don't have children myself, but I am a child. And I felt this at one point. I know it was not intended, it was never intended um, to make me feel less than, right? Our parents do the best they can. Good God,
Absolutely.
that's probably why I didn't become a parent, because I I would have been very judgmental of myself, right? And the way that I parent, and I didn't have that experience. But, you know, I have felt, or I did feel at one point growing up, that I was never enough. And so um those thoughts that we as parents may, like you said, Jody, put into our child's mind, if we are not careful to qualify those thoughts for them, and change how we speak to them. I've seen it said recently, talk to yourself as you would a small child. And I liked the sentiment. However, not everyone in our world speaks to small children kindly. And so I think it's very important that if you read something like that, that you take that from a perspective of unconditional love, and how would you want to be spoken to as a child so that you could develop in the most empowered way possible.
Mhm.
And that is how I really believe we should speak to ourselves, because I say it almost every day. When we can control this, we can control our future. We can control our experience.
Yeah, I couldn't
Yes.
see out of these glasses so well. So plot twist. Um, so I completely agree. So back in 2014, when I watched this docu-series, The Truth About Cancer, they said you can eat all the organic food you want, but if you don't take care of what's between your ears, meaning your brain, your emotional health, which your thoughts, right? Because your thoughts become things, then you will still be dysfunctional and result in dis-ease, right? And so, um, yeah, I mean, so we have an opportunity to reframe how we speak. We have an opportunity to reframe how we think. And know that when you think a good thought, it will reach the farthest star in the universe, and so will the bad thoughts. And so, we have to be conscious about that, cognizant. And one of the things that I like to do is when I know that I've had bad thoughts, I clean up my garbage, meaning I clear the energy on it because I'm human. I still have bad thoughts. So I just do garbage pickup, and I don't wait till Monday for garbage pickup. I, I do the garbage pickup right away. One of the things that I wanted to talk about, Michelle, and I'm glad that Chris is listening. Chris Fetchula, who you introduced me to. Thank you. Is the impact of solar flares, electromagnetic frequencies on and the toxins in our food supply. Becoming that EMF magnet sandwich, and how it's impacting our emotional well-being. And it's does and can stop you in your tracks. It's very important to do a reset when we're having these major solar flares. So what some people may not be aware is that we've had very, very strong solar flares, some of the strongest we've had in a decade or so. And we've had them stronger. I checked out the top 50 largest solar flares that we had, and they have been higher than X10, which is what we just had the other day. But when you have an X10 solar flare, it's very high on the charts. It's measuring the amount of radiation that's hitting our Earth. And usually it hits the Earth, so they say, in 3 days. Personally, I think that's hogwash. I think energy goes like this, and as soon as that solar flare hits, it's here. Like whether, but that's me. You don't have to believe me. You can believe whatever you want. You can believe NASA. Um, and um, and I don't need to be a rocket scientist, literally, to understand the impact of solar flares. You can just feel your feelings. You can take a look and Google space weather or NASA. Uh, Leslie Harris wants to know when those solar flares hit. We had one on December 29th. We had one on January 3rd. They're huge, Leslie. They're huge, and we have them all the time. And so, but January 29th was like X5, an X5. I think January 3rd or something was an X10. Hold on. Chris says it's important to take care of our fur health, especially during times of high energy. I have the ability to cause pain. Oh, it has the ability to cause pain in the body. Let me just put that up. So Leslie's asking, when did they hit?
Take care of our health.
Yeah. Okay. Our fur health.
Gut health.
Oh, gut health.
Just a typo.
Typo, totally fine. So, so that means, and Chris, pipe in, upping those minerals, guys, right? Probiotics, prebiotics, fat, healthy fats, get those fats in. Fat does not contribute to cholesterol, by the way. Spoiler. You want to add to that, Michelle?
Yeah, movement. So exercise. I know exercise can sometimes be a dirty word, but get your body moving. It can be a walk. It can be jumping jacks. It can be dancing in your living room or your kitchen. Yoga, whatever that looks like. Yeah, and Chris says ground, ground, ground. Yes, as we speak, I have my bare feet on a grounding mat because I'm in my office, so I can't be on the ground in the actual earth. But I have a grounding mat because it's super important. Yeah, and crystals of all sorts help you ground. Um, but movement of our physical body allows our energy to move. So this is good for any type of energy that you want to get moving through or out of your body. So, excuse me, if you are feeling sad, if you're feeling down, maybe you just don't, the days that you're just in a funk and you don't really know why, get your body moving because that energy will start moving. And the more you move your body, the more that energy will move and it will flow out of you if that is your desire. If your desire is to bring good energy in, get your body moving. Your body will respond to that. So I think
I'm
exercise
with
and
you.
movement is a really big part of that.
So one of the things I started before the end of the year was reclaiming my movement, right? As many of my friends know, I just completed my book. It's literally, as we're sitting here, being uploaded to 5 different platforms: KDP, Barnes and Noble, Hay House. Who else? There's a place in Europe, Kobe, Europe, Canada, and Asia. And there was one other, I don't remember, Ingram and Apple. And so I lost my movement. Because, I kind of tethered myself to a chair, and didn't kind of, I did. And yeah, the movement was from one chair to another chair. Not enough movement.
Yeah, no.
So, no, not even kind of. So I just started easily again, as I normally do, walking around the street because I really love neighborhood walking. I like looking at the houses. The last 2 days, if you're in Georgia, it's been butt cold. So, walking up and down the stairs and finding that movement in house, using the pulse electromagnetic frequencies, which is getting that microcirculation going. Um, One of the things that I wanted to mention about high vibe, because it's honestly, I'm embarrassed to say this, new to me, and it shouldn't be new to me because I've had it for a year. That's why I'm embarrassed. So, uh, these are torches. Woo! Shine your light. Uh, Not just in red, blue, yellow, and I have green. Woohoo! Right? So I've had these for a year, and honestly, I was using the red light, red, blue, and green lights for, like, I have these huge mats that I wear, and I also help my patients with. And you know, for anybody who's familiar with acupuncture and understanding the meridians in the body, you know how powerful it is when you activate those meridians to get you into rest and digest and move stuck energy. Because really, at the end of the day, what acupuncture is about is moving stuck energy. And, so when we take off the fancy cowboy hat and let you know that I'm doing this before bed. I'm doing this before bed. I'm doing this before bed against the skin, and this, and this. And I'm giving you like the 2-second version. But what I'm trying to tell you is that there are so many tools. And if lights aren't for you, there are, essential oils, right? And I've talked about oils before, but what I'm trying to tell you is that go beyond your front door, right? Go beyond what you've experienced before. If you're not getting results with what you've been using, perhaps your body's telling you, I need something different. And so try exercise. try lights, try oils, try meditation, try humming, um, try, quite frankly, anything to keep you in balance, which is, by the way, my opinion of high vibe, is really being in balance. It's being able to be the calm when there's a storm, you know, kind of like that. Girlfriend.
I
Are you-
think when you said balance, it made me think alignment. And
Mhm.
I did a meditation last night where I was very, I was taken to, um,
Mm.
I was taken to a place where I could not only create, but on a deeper level experience. Because sometimes we don't know what how it is to feel a certain way. So if we're so talking about manifestation for a moment, if we are desiring to manifest a new house, let's just say that, um, we may have never experienced what it feels like to have a new home. We may have we may be in the same place that we've been forever and ever and ever since we were born. Um, we may have been in spaces that were not what you would have called home. So if you don't have a concept of what that would feel like, you can't really create that feeling. But I went into this meditation where those feelings were shown to me. And what I was able to do is, embody those feelings so that when it comes to manifestation, the emotion that you feel is so very, very, very important to allowing your manifestation to show up in your physical reality. So, that being said, when we meditate, we can either create or experience a high vibration, even if we've never felt it before or we don't believe that we've ever felt it before. So, in meditation, we can align ourselves with high vibration. Well, how do we align ourselves? Well, the first thing is intention. We need to intend what we desire to be the outcome. So if we go into meditation and we intend to get out of our funk and begin to
Oh, we intend to get out of our funk and we begin to, and we just lost you there. Uh, you're still
be
not.
more high vibe, thank you, Chris,
We lost you there for
then
Michelle.
the
Okay, so we are losing Michelle. So hopefully she can. I'm going to move the energy. So Chris and anybody else who's called to be an energy healer, let's help bring balance into the technology for today so that we can hear our girlfriend Michelle. Ooh. Yeah, it's frozen. Oh. So she's frozen, and I'm gonna just kind of carry on here for a minute. So we're talking about manifestation and reaching higher points that we've not reached before through our intention. And we and looks like Michelle's coming back on. Our intention, our thoughts are the most powerful thing in the universe. And I will tell you that when I was disabled, it was very difficult for me to manifest and to have control of my thoughts. And so that's why I typically offer people tools, because it took me tools to get there. My first meditation resulted in snoring on the floor of a conference room. And looks like Michelle's back. Let me get her back in here. Let me add her to the stage. Hey, beautiful. Looks like we're just still having a little bit more of a technical glitch. But so because my personal experience was that where I could not meditate and I could not control my thoughts and I couldn't calm my thoughts. I had racing thoughts. It was very important for me to have tools like oils, like vibration, sound vibration, to use humming, to use the walking, to use anything I could to get my brain to turn off, because I couldn't get my brain to turn off. And one of the things that I realized that keeps my brain in race mode is when my body is lacking minerals. So when my body and brain when they're lacking minerals, it's a really big thing when as it contributes to my ability to control my mental, emotional well-being. And one of the ways in which, if we can calm the brain, then we can do what we really need to do, which is lead with our heart, right? Because if we really don't want our brain running the show or running our lives, we want our heart to drive the brain, drive the outcomes, and to help us navigate our daily activities. Chris, do you have any thoughts on that? Or Leslie, do you have any thoughts on that? I'm praying that Michelle comes back. So anyways, so some other ways in which I believe is a great way to increase your ability to stay high vibe again, which is in balance and in control of your emotions, is using Upgrade, which is a supplement that increases blood flow to the prefrontal cortex. And when you have blood flow to the prefrontal cortex, you are usually thinking before you do. So let me see if I can get my girlfriend back in here. Hey, beautiful. So she's still dark. That's just odd. Maybe try connecting with your cell phone, Michelle. Oh my goodness. I see her eyes moving. I see a picture. I'm so excited. And actually, this is a perfect example of what I want to talk about. So we can stay high vibe, right? Technology's going down. I'm sitting here by myself. Not really. You guys are all here. But I mean, my co-host, her technology's not working. I could become out of sorts and lose my high vibe or my balance. But, if we remember, that God's got our back, that we are doing exactly what we're supposed to do. We don't have to be swayed. We don't have to be a reaction to every action. We can be a response. And so Leslie Harris is saying, she says, when she does yoga, I try to remember to open my heart and really feel myself sending love to the whole world, especially those who I feel have wronged me. That is really awesome, Leslie. Wow. I do that too. And not necessarily just when I'm doing yoga. I do this at the end of every day, because if I can send forgiveness to people, for transgressions, what I view as a transgression, and know that they're doing the best that they can with what they have. I'm raising my own vibration, and I'm sending them love, and I'm raising their vibration. The other thing, when my book comes out, um, uh, we're reframing mental health for the world. And so with that reframe, I'm explaining what's really happening for people who have bipolar disorder, narcissism, dementia, all these mental health issues. Um, um, Let me see something here. Um, Michelle is struggling to get connected. I'm going to ask her to try using the cell service. So, here we go. So, so that, is really a big thing to understand what's happening for people. Really it is a mental health issue, but we're reframing it, meaning people who are traumatized have fractured souls, or souls that walk out of their body. From a psychology perspective, they're calling that disassociation. And but a Jodyism is a fractured soul, and then another Jodyism is a walk in or walk out. And when we understand that when somebody is so traumatized, they need to leave their physical body spiritually, go to another timeline or dimension, and take a mental vacation, okay? Another soul walks in, and they don't actually have memory for what's going on. And so you could think that you're being gaslit, but you're not. They're just really not there. And so we can make them wrong, but they don't know how to handle their trauma. They don't know how to process their trauma. And so Leslie, I completely agree. Open our hearts to them, send them love. And sometimes we have to do this from afar, right? We have to send them love from afar until they choose to handle their traumas and learn how to associate their body, and rewrite their records and integrate those soul fractures. So Chris says, I watch my thoughts and change them accordingly. Yeah, I mean, me too. I mean, Chris, you and I have been on the phone, I don't know how many millions of times, and something comes out of my mouth and I'm like, oh, no, let me reframe that, right? Because I catch myself. And so I reframe that and send out, a new thought process to the universe that aligns with my values. And so that's being aware of our programming, our programming for our language. So what's the language that we're using, and is the language helping us to further raising the vibration in the universe, or is the language poo-pooing things? Is it hurting people in the universe? And so I'm always a constant steward and student of my own languaging. And Chris is also saying 100%, Leslie, it works wonderfully well to hold people in the light. And I agree. It's super important to hold people in the light. So now hold on. I got okay. So I understand what's going on. So Michelle is on Safari, and we says the studio has local recordings now, but they are supported due to browser restrictions. Yeah. So okay, cool. So she's back. Hi, Lovey. Hi, honey. Yeah, you can't use Safari and StreamYard. You have to use Chrome. Can you hear me okay? Hello. So I'll wait till the connection is complete. But Michelle, what are you there? Or well, this is kind of virtual. So so what else I mean, so the thing is that when we become stewards of our own mouth, right? And we become students and we really start being self-aware, which is really at the end of the day, the very first thing that we can do is to pray for a higher level of self-awareness than what we had the day before. So that we can understand or understand how people perceive us. Let me see here. Chris says driving was one of my biggest hurdles. Silly enough, I started there. I used to cuss like a sailor while driving. Hilarious. Michelle, are you able to speak yet? Because it wasn't coming out before. So there's no volume. So
That's because I turned my microphone off now. Okay,
that's
now
so funny.
now I'm good.
That's why I kept talking.
Yeah, you were swirling. Anyway, I think I'm back.
Yeah, so you can't use Chrome. You can only use Safari. You can't use Safari. We're just
Yeah, and that's what an iPhone is. So
yeah, but you can actually go to Chrome on an iPhone. You just have to select it. So back to Chris just real quick.
Yeah, you'd have to have Chrome on your phone, which I don't have. So yeah, it was just easier to keep trying here.
Well, you achieved it. And actually, I used it as a lesson. Like, here we were in a situation where technology is going down, life is throwing you a curveball, and we both just stay in our balance, right? We don't have to be a reaction to every action, right? It's not a big deal. Things happen all the time.
No.
I'll tell you, like 3 years ago when I first started this show, I had Dr. Susie Warden, Overturf Warden. She's got a very long last name. She's a chiropractor in Illinois. So the whole thing went down, right? And actually, it went down because I accidentally hit the wrong button. And, because she's so shy, she's not. She just took over the show and I got back on. She's teaching people about posture. I'm like, yeah, go girl, right?
Great. Yeah.
So we use it as a way to explain to people you don't actually have to be a reaction to every action. And that goes with what's Chris saying. She's saying driving was one of my biggest hurdles. Silly enough, I started there. I used to cuss like a sailor while driving. So I started blessing them instead. Well, what my blessing might have been. So she says afterwards, it became less of a challenge. That's a really big deal. I am also no longer an angry driver. And I used to be an angry driver. I think I scared the heck out of somebody back in 1997. My girlfriend, Jackie, she just sat there in the passenger seat in downtown Chicago as we're going to Lincoln Park Zoo, wondering, not sure if I really want to get out of the car or even be with this person. I was an angry driver. So Leslie, that's a great idea. She says sometimes she'll listen to a funny podcast video to get myself onto a higher vibe. You know what would be a really good idea in that light, Leslie? There's this woman I know. She's blonde. I think her eyes are blue. She's beyond amazing and is a coach, but she also is on stage. Oh, I'm sorry. It's this woman right here. So why don't you sing for us, Michelle? Show us how you help people go high vibe. Are you in the mood for that or not so much?
No, and I've had sinus drainage, so it's not going to be so great anyway. But there's plenty of stuff online.
Oh, you know what I might have? Am I allowed to play a video of you?
Oh, I don't care.
Have it? Okay. Yeah. So take it away. Talk about what else you think we need to cover, and I'm going to find a video because I want people to see, especially for people. I know, Leslie, you're in Chicago or in the Chicagoland area, and you're probably not going to get out to Georgia to listen to Michelle sing on stage, but she's amazing. And if I was more of an
But I'm
extrovert,
not just always in Georgia. Actually, I go to Chicago quite often, but it's usually for a private event. But if you have a friend in the dermatological line of work, we usually do a big conference there every year for ASDS. So check them out and see if you can get in the party. You could see us. But I'm not sure what y'all covered while I was gone, but I love, Leslie, I love watching a podcast or a funny video or listening to music or, how about playing with animals or young children? I mean, get out into nature. Sometimes I like to just sit. If I'm in a funk, I like to just take a drive, go to a park, go sit on a picnic bench somewhere and either watch the kids playing, listen to them laughing. Oh, that's another kind of video that I love. Seeing those videos of the babies laughing when they start getting tickled and they giggle and giggle and giggle. That if that doesn't get you smiling, at least there's probably something wrong with your heart. You need to go get it checked out. And same for like animals with children. That stuff will just get me in a good vibe situation all day long.
well, that, and I, I love watching, what is it? Bird videos.
Mhm.
How do I share this? Hold on. Present.
I don't know. All we hear is fuzz.
Well, you're going to see in a minute.
Oh, I'm not even singing in this one.
What?
I'm not even singing in this one. It's just dancing.
Well, of course, I picked one where you're not singing. Not intentional.
There's plenty of them that are though.
Yeah, I'm looking. I'm not finding it that fast. And if you have one you want to show, wait, this one. Oh, this one's fun. Hold on. I remember seeing this one. You're singing and somebody else is singing. So let me do that. Present. Share screen. One second. There we go. So, so we didn't really get to hear Michelle sing so much here, but you want to take a look at how she engages people and gets them out of their shell to show up on stage and to be the best version of themselves. And, and I think that when you have that gift, that's pretty amazing. I also want to share about Michelle's wisdom circle. May I?
Please, yes, thank you.
So, how many months have I been in your wisdom circle? Is it 6 now? Maybe about that?
I believe it is. Yeah, I think it was June. Uh-huh.
Yeah. So I'm in a wisdom circle with Michelle and one other, and there's been others before, but she's starting a new one since our container is kind of has its own energy around it, and she's starting another wisdom circle. I'm trying not to cry. So to say that Michelle has contributed to my success and my ability to stay on point would be an understatement. Um, I'm a truth seeker, and and I need people who are who will. I need to surround myself with people who will tell me truth, uh, regardless. Like they're not afraid. They're not afraid to lose my friendship because they know if they actually tell me the truth, that I'll love them more, right? Because that's who I am. And so Michelle speaks truth as she sees it, but it's well, okay, so she's gone. Speaks truth as she sees it, but through consciousness. And so she has coached me as I launched this book the last 6 months, um, through the highs and lows, through all the plot twists related to this book, through the separation between me and my husband. She has been the light when there were days where I felt dark. And so you missed part of it. I want you actually to hear this. So I'm going to do a brief um, repeat. And Chris says yes, truth through love. So I was saying that you have guided me and been the truth the entire time, guided me through the ups and downs of this book launch, through the separation with my husband, um, which I'm praying for reconciliation if it's for highest good, and and I do believe that it is, um, and it's it's not easy to be friends with me, and it's also not easy to coach me because I hear really well. I am a great channel and I'm a great intuitive. So it takes somebody who's at least equal or better to do what I need, really. And you need to think about that because I am really choosy about my friends and I'm certainly choosy about my coach. So thank you for being the wind beneath my wings. Thank you for speaking truth. Even when I don't necessarily like what you have to say, I have to channel it and have agreement because usually it's always true. Like 9.9999999% of the time, right? Because there is no perfection. And to help me get through where I needed to go. So if you are looking to up your if you're looking to make a change or to make what you have even better and to have the energy exchange where others are holding space for what you put into the world as your manifestation and your intention, this is where you want to go. You want to really join Michelle because you can't deny the outcome. You just can't deny it. And you can't, and you want people holding space. You want her holding space and you want her intuition and you want her ability to access consciousness for what you want to do. Not to mention, prior to what she does now, she ran businesses, you know? Yes, it was a different industry, but it's kind of like a copy paste, right? You take the principles that you learn in one industry and you apply those and you get the downloads for the rest. Anything you'd like to add to that?
Yeah, thank you, Jody. I appreciate that very much. And I am actually offering a free intro session next Tuesday evening. And so if you are interested, if this calls to you, there is no obligation. Just send me a message or look at that'd be probably the easiest. And just send me a message, and I will get you the link to register for that absolutely free next Tuesday evening.
So what is the date next Tuesday? The 14th,
The
right?
14th.
And what time again is that?
It'll be 6:30. I'm sorry, 4:30 um, Eastern time, 4:30 p.m. Eastern, and it'll probably last about an hour, and it'll just give an idea of give you a feel of what Wisdom Circle is all about, and then I'll give all of the information about membership and what to expect.
That's wonderful.
Thank you.
If this is not the right timing for you, but you know of a business person who it might be, maybe you work with them, maybe they're just someone you collaborate or you're friends with, invite them, please. You will be the greatest gift. This is a no cost obligation, you know? So, also, my emails are probably going to start going out again. As many of you know, I've paused on a few things. And the first one's going to be that the book is going live. I've got a guy texting me right now going, need you to send me the code to KDP. So, with that being said, and it is 4:06.
Gotta go.
Yeah, and I want to just say thank you to everybody for showing up. And
great discussion today too.
Yeah, and thank you for asking questions, sharing your thoughts. Like, this is really important that we connect. So thank you, everyone, and God bless.
Bye, everybody.